Hey Scott, Jeff Ritter here, ready to take a look at your golf swing. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to help you out. What I'm going to start with here is just looking at your setup position, and your setup is actually absolutely perfect, which is good news. So for future reference, one of the things I'm looking for is the shaft to point right towards your belt line, just like so. From here, your spine angle should be about 90 degrees to that, so I'm drawing a line from your hip up to your right ear. And then as it relates to your weight from heel to toe, if we draw a line right from the back of the right sleeve of your shirt, kind of where the tricep is, that should go from the back of the sleeve to the kneecap down to the ball of the foot. So in the future, if you want to draw some lines on your video and check out how you're doing, that's what I would do. From here, what we'll do is draw a line for swing plane right up the shaft of the dress. And as you're going back, here's our takeaway. And you've got a little bit too much lift with your hands at this point. I'd like for your hands to be a little bit closer to your body. As you continue up to the top, the shaft is going to get just a little bit too much pointed to the left behind you. Now technically that's on plane right there, but what happens with you transitioning is you go from this angle, which is pretty good, to this angle, which gets a little bit steeper. See that? So as you start to transition, you can see how if I drew a line across the shaft, it would actually point well down between the ball and your feet. Well, ideally, I like to have your backswing plane right about here. And then from there, have that transition into your downswing plane, which would loop its way around back there. So kind of taking that relationship and flipping it around just a little bit. So what happens is, when you come down a little bit steeper like that, now the shaft's coming down through your right shoulder, and you're poised to do a couple things. Number one, you're going to probably hit too much ground. Number two, you can hit the ball off the toe or the heel. The reason why you would hit it off the toe is because when you come down too steep, that's just one of the basic characteristics of a steep swing. But the reason why you can hit it off the heel would be because your arms are so far away from your body that you can actually do either. So a lot of times when you look at people that swing steep, they're people that take deep divots, hit the ball off the toe, pull the ball left, and fade the ball right. Conversely, when you look at people that hook the ball, they're actually coming in a little bit too flat. They hit towards the heel, they block the ball right, and of course the club face closes too much, they hook back to the left. So the reason why I bring this up is that because you're steep and your arms are out away from you a little too much, it's also possible to hit the ball off the heel, which is normally associated with a flat swing, a hooking swing. So I just wanted to point that out. As you come in a little bit steep, it's difficult for you to rotate your body through as much as you like to. You can also see how your shaft at impact gets a little bit more vertical than the original position. And there you are in the follow through. So the left arm folds up a little too much. The shaft's actually on a nice angle right there, but you just don't have enough rotation at that point in the follow through. So what we like to be able to do is just make a little adjustment between the start of your takeaway, the top of the backswing, and how you transition downward, and have all that other stuff take care of itself. So when you watch me go back over here on the right, what I'm doing here is I'm just basically trying to take your swing and show you what it would look like if you were going to do the exact opposite cause and effect sequence. So basically when I swing back over here, see how my hands are staying a little bit closer to my right leg as I get a little bit of turn on my body? Whereas when you go back, your body doesn't turn much and you get a lot of lift with your hands and club head. So that's the first thing I want to do. Let the right hip turn back a little bit. Let the handle stay close to your right thigh. From here, you get up to the top. And again, you don't have quite enough turn and the shaft is pointing over to the left a little too much. Well, from here you can see how I'm rotating more. My shoulders are winding up. My hands are kind of right in front of my right armpit area of my torso. And the shaft is actually a little bit steeper in this position, a little bit more up and down. Now, whereas you went back a little bit flat, and then you came down a little bit steep, like so, you'll see how I do the exact opposite. I go back a little bit steeper, and then watch my club head transition down a little bit flatter. So that's the critical move that we're going to try and pull off, being able to go from steepening to flattening. And now, when I come back down, you can see how my shaft is coming down much more through my right forearm, whereas with you, it was coming down more through your shoulder. You can see how my hands are closer to my body, whereas yours are more away. You can see how as I come through, I get more rotation in my body with my back foot driving off the turf, whereas your back foot's a little bit too grounded. And then actually, the follow-through look pretty similar. You did a nice job right there. So just watch the difference between these, kind of in regular speed. Of course, yours is going to play in slow motion here. A little too much lift. Transitioning a little too steep. And then the shaft coming in too vertical into the ball with your weight too much in your back foot. Now watch mine. A little more turn at the start. Steepening halfway back. And then flattening, or what we call shallowing, coming through. And so hopefully you can see the difference right there. So what I'm going to do is okay, so setup looks great. That's the good news. Takeaway: too much lift, not enough rotation. So I want to see you start by feeling the handle of the club stay a little bit closer to your right thigh, and feel your right hip turn back a little bit, just like so. As you start to do this, get halfway into your backswing and feel the shaft standing up just a little bit more as your hands are more back in line with the right armpit on your torso, just like so. The grip end should be pointing at this point somewhere down between the ball and your feet. Not out here too flat, certainly not down toward your feet, which would be too steep. From here, what you want to be able to feel is a transition where the downswing goes underneath the backswing. See that little loop I made? The club was steep, and then it transitioned flatter. One steep, transition flatter. So this is primarily happening with the motion of your hands. So when you go to the top of your backswing, you should be able to take that club head and just make a little loop like so, where you can see how it steepens and then flattens, steepens and then flattens. Just a little rotation to the right, so to speak. So you get set up there, a little bit of a turn, shaft steepens and flattens. Soften your arms, do it nice and slow. A little bit of a turn, shaft steepens and flattens. It's almost like a little mini Jim Furyk. He's making a little bit of a loop. You're going to make a small loop as well. When you do it, though, it's going to travel back and down on a very similar plane. But if it does drop a little bit, it'll drop a little bit more underneath the plane versus where you are coming down too much over the plane. Right? So when you come down here and you get steep, now that club wants to crash into the ground. So what happens? You start to lean back on your back foot. The shaft actually raises up into impact, and your body doesn't turn through quite as much as it should. So as we get this sequence built in here, a little turn with the right hip, hands closer, steepen, and then flatten. Now the shaft's coming in shallower, so my hands stay closer. The shaft returns to the back of the ball, the same angle that it started. My hips are rotating, my back foot's coming off the ground, and I come on through. All the impact stuff, as it relates to your feet and the shaft, are all going to be cause and effect based on where that club is coming from. So the problem that you have is really halfway back transitioning down, and that's what we're changing. Turning, steepening, feeling the downswing flatten and through. So I'll go really slow here. Turn and steepen, feel it flatten, right on through. Take your 7-iron, go in your garage there, go nice and slow. And just try and have your new movements match my movements in my pictures here on the video screen. Turning, steepening, and flattening. turning, steepening, and flat. Alright, so that's your lesson plan. If we can just change that backswing and transition just a little bit, it should make a big difference and get your impact, your ball flight pointed in the right direction. So that was our lesson for today. So if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot me an email, jeff@jeffrittergolf.com. A lot of good things going on with your swing. We just got to fix the top of that backswing and how we transition the golf ball, and we should be pointing in the right direction. So again, thanks a lot, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.